Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
Good evening, everybody. It is Saturday night. It is late. It is dark. It is cold in the state of Michigan. I know it's also cold where Trevor is. We're going to get our first snow overnight tonight. But how are the Carolinas, Justin? You staying warm down there?
Yeah, played golf today, actually. It was in the 70s. Trying to hang on to the warm weather as long as I can.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Of course, we are any given entry over here at drroto.com. I'm Johnny Danger. With me is Justin from Just DFS and Trust in Trevor. We are going to go over the best, as we call them, cash plays, single entry plays, and try to help us win some money. We got close last week. We had a bummer with DK Metcalf, Trevor.
Yeah, he stunk, and I just one of those weeks where you think I picked Pittsburgh to win the game. They scored 27 points. You think he's going to be in there. He's got to pass right away. And that was basically it.
Yep, and I see Sasha has joined us.
Yeah, she's joined us. One of my buddies had special requests and wanted to see her real quick. So, to be honest, if I hold her, we just got back from work. So, if I let her down, she's going to be bugging me for a ball.
I love it. Well, everyone, I believe, we were real close. We were a couple points behind the cash line on our lineup for most of our entries. DK Metcalf let us down. And though he was on your sheet, we did not play Drake London, who basically broke the slate at about 3 to 4% owned with 3 touchdowns. So, you kind of needed to have that. It didn't work out, but we were real close. I think I just looked it up, and we were 4.5 points off the cash line where I entered it. So, we were somebody other than DK Metcalf away from doubling up at least.
Yeah, and it was a lot of weird stuff that happened last week. We dodged a couple of landmines, but unfortunately Metcalf was one of those we fell on.
Yep, that does happen. Not a problem at all, though. We're going to keep going. If you are joining us for the first time, single entry is, we're still trying to take down a tournament here. But instead of playing against 150,000 of your best friends with 150 lineups, we're trying to build one. We're trying to go after a little higher contest money-wise, a little lower contest entry-wise, single entry, maybe 400 to 1,000 entries total. And we're trying to make sure that we're missing those landmines. So we got real close again. Like I said last week, we had a big winner a couple weeks ago. We about 12 to 15 times our money. We're going to try to get back in that this week. Let me see if I can get us shared up here. I should have done this before the show. I say that every time. I should have done this before the show. And yet I still don't do it. All right, let's get into it. Here is the sheet for this week. I laughed a little bit, Justin, when you sent this to me because I write my chalk article over at drroto.com. And what that does is attempt to identify the chalk and attempt to kind of make a read on whether I think that's good chalk, bad chalk. And if you want to stay away from those chalk plays, find some pivots that will get you just as many points, but will be less owned. And there is a whole lot of similar plays on this sheet as my sheet, as you say. Did the stars align? Let's start with the quarterback here. You can't ever go wrong with Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, especially if they're going to keep them reasonably priced. I consider high 6, low 7 reasonably priced for quarterbacks. And they can just dominate for you, Justin. Is this a pay-up quarterback week for you, or is it just on there because you know they're going to put up 25 to 30 points?
Yeah, I mean, they're both in good eyes as far as Vegas goes. They both are doing their thing. I've found the sheet has not really produced a lot of high options at quarterback, and it did put some in there this week. So is it a pay up week at quarterback? I'm not ready to say that just yet per se, but it's as close as it has been in any week up to this week, according to the sheet. So we had them up there. Not many times have we had over 6K. Definitely, I don't think we've had a 7K quarterback show up yet. So it definitely could be.
It could be you got some value in there. Jared Goff in a great spot, Jackson Dart in a great spot. I also think the quarterback on the other side of that game and Caleb Williams is in a good spot as long as the weather holds up there. And Trevor, I know that you don't read my stuff, but would you be shocked, surprised, and in awe that I put JJ McCarthy in my article?
Well, I'm not really shocked because his price is low and it should be a good matchup. He does have great weapons. I mean, it doesn't take much at that price with the weapons he has, and Baltimore has been susceptible to pass. I know they're getting a little bit healthier on defense, but at that price, you got Jefferson, Addison, and Hawkinson. It looks like Aaron Jones is going to play. So it should be a fun one to watch. The Vikings should score in the 20s. I'm looking for like a 27-23 type of game. So, yeah, I'm not shocked that you have McCarthy in there just because of his price.
Yeah, I can't fault this group of guys here. I mean, I think that I have built a lineup with all 5 of them throughout the course of my day, just playing with numbers and seeing where I landed on players. I think I'm going to have a lot of Jackson Dart, to be honest. I think that he's got to take this team on his shoulders, and this is a good game against Chicago to do it, Justin.
Yeah, I agree. Dart's obviously super athletic. He has to put it on his shoulders. The weather, who knows exactly what it's going to be. Probably end up being nothing, even though there may be some wind. Whether he gets it done by throwing it or whether he gets it done with his legs, 5,700 in a game that both teams are kind of going to scramble to get it accomplished. I definitely think he could pay off.
I mean, you can put Trevor, you can put Dart and you can put Wan'Dale Robinson in there, and it only costs you $2,000 more than Christian McCaffrey himself.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of times I don't trust the Giants receivers, but one of them's got to shake out this week, and why not Robinson? He did have 9 catches last week for 50 yards. He's got to get in that end zone to really get a big slate, get us in the slate or get some more yardage, but.
Yeah, he does. But you know what? Last week I played 150 and I played Jackson Dart and all 150. And I think about 80 of them, I played him solo. So he's a quarterback you can play solo. He's going to throw for 200, 225 yards. He's going to throw for a touchdown, most likely. He's going to rush for 50 yards, get you another touchdown. And that's respectable points at 5,700. It's hard to beat. And the Bears, they stink, guys.
Yeah, it seems like the last few weeks, it's easy to get into a shootout with them. So certainly a lot of potential there for him on the ground and in the air, and especially if the field gets wet, or I think maybe even chances of some snow flurries and the wind. I mean, he could definitely turn it into, a backyard quarterback type of play.
It could be. Now, last week, Caleb Williams went crazy, had all those touchdowns, all that yardage, and Rome Odunze was a big fat 0. So I like to start a lineup every week that Doc and Tommy G used to do, is you line up all the players that completely laid a dud the week before. So I started that lineup. Well, Caleb Williams didn't throw a dart. Caleb Williams was awesome. But I started that lineup with Gibbs, and I started that lineup with Rome Odunze. I think Gibbs is in another good spot, unless either of you wanted to add another quarterback that wasn't on this list.
I think, Drake May, again, he always seems to shine through with his 25 points. He seems to do that every week. I know the guys on Friday Night Lights and Doc like Jacoby Brissett at his price. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of iffy on that one just because Seattle's defense is pretty good, and I think they can limit Marvin Harrison. So, but yeah, I like this list. This list pretty much matched my list. I mean, these were the 5 guys. I think you'll find them in my article that I wrote for Dr. Roto for today. So, yeah, I love the list.
Just real quick, before you move the running back, you said gross at my Travion Henderson play last week. Gross quarterback play, and I'm not advocating for this, but I am saying my metrics tell me that Davis Mills has the best quarterback matchup on the week with Houston. So,
yeah, you're right. I will say gross again.
Yeah.
I did write Mills in my article. Mills did make my article just because of his price. Jacksonville secondary is banged up, and Mills has done it in the past. I mean, he's looked awful a lot, but he has had 20-point games in the past, and he's got a healthy receiving core, I think. And Jaguars' secondary is bad right now, and everybody's expecting Jacksonville to go into Houston and win. I don't see that. I think Houston's going to beat Jacksonville, and I think they're going to put a licking on them.
A licking, an old school licking. He's calling
old school licking.
I love it. I'm looking over here at my simulator I just ran, and it has expected fantasy points is one of the categories it does. Lamar Jackson comes in at number 1 at 25.44, and at the very bottom of the list, Davis Mills at 2.83 points.
Well, that's not.
They must expect him not to play the whole game.
Less points than Tyler Shah, less points than Dylan Gabriel. Just saying.
Crazy. It's the number 1 matchup on the week for quarterbacks. So just throwing that asterisk comment in there before you move on to running back.
I think with him, he'll be more of a GPP play for me. I'll definitely have him in GPP lineups. But for what we're doing, I don't think he really qualifies.
All right, now I got to go over and look at our friends at DFS Hero and see what they've got him at.
I think they have McCarthy as the best value on the week. They did yesterday. They may have changed it today.
I moved off that page. 1 second here. Let me go see if they got Davis Mills. They got Davis Mills as the third to last scoring quarterback of the week. So, yeah, ain't pretty. Let's see what they do have here. Hero rank number 11 for JJ now.
As far as value or just points?
No, hero rank. That's their adjusted value for money for everything rank. We got him at number 11 now. Yeah, curiouser. Honestly, I like Sam Darnold a lot. I think getting a hold of Shaheed is going to help that offense. They clearly don't want to run the ball like they have in the past. They just kind of keep giving 5 or 6 runs to both running backs, a couple more if they're in the lead. But, JSN has just been incredible. And getting a guy like Shaheed that can stretch the other side. I'm kind of into Sam Darnold this week. Where was he on your sheet? He's only 5,800.
Just past the bottom half.
All right. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Curious. All right. Nothing else there.
Just like Arizona's defense.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, and I said this to Doc earlier, and I said they were pumping up JSN on the show this morning on SiriusXM, and I said, he's only laid 1 dud this year, and that dud was against Arizona. So, doesn't always predict. It's not always predictive, but it is interesting. All right, over running back. I mean, we're back at Christian McCaffrey. I mean, he's got to be, Justin. I know that you put a lot of weight on fantasy points. Regardless of touchdowns. And I know that McCaffrey's been all over that. Is the $9,000 range starting to push the boundaries? I mean, they were talking about it this morning with Tom from DFS Hero. They were talking about how, he's got to get almost 27 points to start making it worthwhile. But he's averaging 25 and a half, 26?
26.4 on DK.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously he's on your sheet, so you're in on him. We're both Niners fans, so let's talk to Trevor.
Well, McCaffrey's always going to be on your sheet. It's a high price to pay. I don't know how much I'm going to have of him, but I'm definitely going to have him. There's no doubt about it. I like some of the middle price guys just for value better because I want to get in these high price receivers. But if you're going to pay down, if you can find some pay downs at receiver, if you're going to get McCarthy, then I can get McCaffrey in there. So, he's going to be hard to get in my lineups that have Lamar because of the price and then the other receivers. But I'll definitely have McCaffrey in there in some of them.
Rob Darnold ranks kind of right in the middle on my simulations and Justin's. It's just kind of a gut feeling for me. I actually think Shaheed's a bigger piece than they think he is. I don't know that he needs all that much time for a playbook for a guy that they can just say do one juke and go deep. So I don't know, gut play. Yeah, I'm with you. I love Christian McCaffrey. I try to get him into everything. I worry about this matchup, to be honest. These teams know each other so very, very well. I don't know. I like him, but 9,000 is starting to push it with me. I know he's not on the list, and we haven't worked all the way through your list. But Kyler Williams has a history of just torching our team, Justin. I pushed the button on him in my first lineup. Where's he at for you?
Yeah, so Kyron, for one reason or another, never seems to make it. I think that there's a lot of passing volume there, although Kyron definitely is always serviceable. I don't think, the Niners won last time in a close game. I think it's going to be very similar to last time. I don't know what Kyron did last time.
32 points.
32, yeah. The metrics when I run them, like the air game for the Rams, the Niners were a different team every game this year for some reason or another, and they're definitely a different team than when they played last time. But Kyron is about the same percentage of running backs as Darnold was at quarterback, which is just below the 50% mark or so on the sheet.
Interesting. I like everything else on here. I mean, Devin Achane was my pivot off the super owned guys in my personal article. Judkins, if he's healthy, I love him. The Jets got rid of like everybody on defense this week. How can you not like Judkins? Rico Dowdle, I think, proved that he's the guy that needs the ball. Henderson wasn't awful last week, Justin. He wasn't awful. I did take him out of the lineup. I'm not going to lie. I took him out and I put somebody else in, and it also didn't work. I got like 2 more points than Henderson got, but it didn't get me there. And then Montgomery, the leverage scores hate him. He's too high owned and too cheap. So leverage hates when cheap guys are super high owned. But I love the running game. I'm actually a little surprised Gibbs isn't on here.
Yeah. So somebody else said the same thing, and I was this close to just putting Detroit running back.
Right.
I went with Montgomery because of price. I think the game is not going to be very close. Mm-hmm. I know it doesn't really matter in Detroit per se because they kind of switch drives, not necessarily whatever the game script follows. But for 5K, a lot of touchdown equity in a game that they'll be probably well in hand, in my opinion. Montgomery gets the lean from me. But as you mentioned earlier with your regression comments, there was a dud last week for Gibbs. He's probably itching to bounce back. So to say all that to say, you can literally play either one of them, but spending up there made it tough, whereas you can get similar touchdown upside in a Vegas heavy game that, favors the run. Montgomery made the list after I debated putting both just Detroit running back and let people decide. But both good plays depending on what kind of money you got.
So McCaffrey is the highest percentage to finish number 1 overall on the slate. But the highest finish to finish as a top 10 percentage on the entire slate is missing from your list, and Jonathan Taylor. But $9,500 is a lot. He's not on the main slate. I know this. I'm just curious what you guys think of Jonathan Taylor this week, because I'm going to play a little bit of this early morning slate because I want to.
It's not on the main slate. I don't pay attention to it.
Oh, come on, Trevor. You're not going to play one big morning slate?
I usually don't play the morning slates. I hate them. Maybe I will.
I know he's not on your sheet either, Justin. I just want to know, what do you guys think of him against Atlanta?
Yeah, so
look, I just like playing Indianapolis. I just like playing their players, so I got to get some early morning games in.
Yeah, so I played Jonathan Taylor quite a bit this year. It took me a little bit to get on the train because I wasn't real sure Daniel Jones, what the offense was going to do. A couple weeks in, though, I played him a lot. I did not play him last week. Obviously, it worked out in my favor. Mm-hmm. As far as running the metrics and whatnot, I don't really do that for any games outside of the main slate. But, I mean, multiple touchdown upside in almost every game. Atlanta's not a tough defense versus the running backs. So if you're playing a slate or a showdown that involves that game, Jonathan Taylor's definitely got multiple touchdown upside.
Love it.
I would be more inclined to play Bijan in that game with Buckner out.
Yeah. Very possible. All right, let's talk about a couple players missing from this list that rank rather high for me. James Cook. He's going to be pretty heavily owned, $7,500, playing against Miami. I don't see a reason why I can't mix a little James Cook in here. Trevor, you like James Cook?
I do like James Cook. He was one of the first guys I thought of. Miami's run defense has been a bit better. I know they gave up 120 some yards to Henry last week, but that came on a lot of volume. He had a ton of carries. I don't think he averaged 4 yards a carry in that game. I think it was maybe 3.5, something like that. So, but I do like Cook's been so good this year, Kyron, I did like Kyron, and I do like a little bit of Gibbs. Thing I worry about with Gibbs is that I think, there's so many mouths to feed there that it could be spread out. And I know people are mad at him last week. The reason why he didn't get a lot of volume last week is they couldn't keep him on the field because Minnesota dialed up blitzes and he was missing on them all. He was whiffing on blocks, and they had to pull him and play Montgomery because he couldn't pick up the blitz. I don't think Washington has the type of blitzing packages the Vikings have. So I'm expecting a big bounce back game. Detroit, I think they're going to run up the score on Washington because, for one, they got knocked out by Washington last year in the playoffs. And Detroit, I've watched them do this multiple times over the last couple of years. They can be beating a team 45-14, and they're throwing touchdown passes on Amon-Ra St. Brown with 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. So I think after last week, they might be a little pissed off, and they might really be scoring 40 points this week. But, I'm not playing Travion Henderson. I won't do it.
He's ranked number 8 on Paydirt's list, and he's ranked number 14 on DFS Heroes list. So he's in play. He's in play at $5,600. But Tampa Bay typically has a pretty decent run defense. Typically, I don't know.
They must be expecting him to catch a lot of passes or something because he has a good pass catching back, and Tampa is susceptible to pass catching backs. So you could see 5-6 catches, and if he gets 5-6 catches for 50-60 yards and finds the end zone, I mean, he's I looked at the list last week and I didn't play Drake London, so I better take that back. I better start thinking about putting Henderson in a few of my lineups because I got burned by poo-pooing London last week, and football's this weird sport, you don't know what to expect. So if Henderson has a big game and I had no exposure, I'll feel like an idiot, especially since he was on this sheet.
Fair enough. Justin,
if I may.
Oh, please.
Yeah. So just a quick comment on Henderson. I'm not going to belabor that point. It could have been worse. It could have been better. You can always talk about what could have happened. The vulture touchdown that he lost, if he fell in the end zone there versus the other running back, the tune would be a little bit different this week. He'd have finished with 18 or 19 fantasy points. The matchup is not as good as it was last week, which is why I was so heavily on him. Expected him to get much more touches, obviously, with the injuries to Stevenson, and he did, but I didn't expect him to bleed so much to the other running back there, especially that touchdown. But the matchup isn't as great this week, so I'm not as bullish on him as I was last week. Boy, did I want to be right last week on that, but it just didn't quite work out in my favor. Back to a couple of your original comments, people who are just off the list. James Cook, obviously, you mentioned, very good running back. He's earning the money that he was given. But the matchup over the season and in the last 5 has not been really great for him to be looking to run on Miami. But I could definitely see, 9.5-point favorites. It definitely speaks volumes. And we talked about this a little bit before the show started, but the Chicago running backs, if you knew what was going to unfold there, if you have a gut and you want to go with it, I wouldn't blame you at all. Super great matchup. And the weather's also going to make that even better. So Swift's questionable, but we all think he's going to be involved. Just how much? I think they said they were going to ride the hot hand. But I think one of those two guys is going to get it done. And if there was any inkling of Swift not being out, Manan guy would be very popular again this week. So a Chicago running back's got a good chance. And obviously just touching on the Cook comment, as far as people not on this list.
The Giants, I mean, they're going to give up 400 yards of offense. So even if Swift plays, one of them might, still put up enough points for us. Swift's a little expensive at 61. I didn't see where Monangai ended up. 56. Yeah, I mean, it's a little higher than I want him to be when they could likely just split the ball. It's tough. I mean, Swift's their guy. They've given Swift all the touches all year long, but Monangai was so good last week. It's hard to imagine they just eliminate him.
Yeah.
I will say this, that Quinshon Judkins is my favorite play on the slate of all the players. So,
all right, so I'm going to take him off the list then, Trevor, because it's been DK, it's been Sutton, it's been Bijan. Now you're telling me Judkins. I'm taking him off the list, sir.
Sutton did score 16 points that week. It wasn't like he was a total failure like DK Metcalf. And then, my Bijan Robinson was pretty terrible. But the last time I had Judkins as my favorite play, he did score 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I like it. No, I like Judkins a lot. He popped in every model that I ran this morning when I was sitting down to write. A couple of guys that pop in the models here. We got Rashad White pops up in the model a little bit. We got Travis Etienne pops up a little bit. And let's see, Breece Hall pops up a little bit. Those are the guys that we haven't touched on that pop up in the simulator. I'm not really interested.
Yeah, I mean, nothing wrong with those. Sorry, Trevor.
A little bit on White just because the Patriots are the worst team against the pass for running backs. But his 6,400 is going to be tough to get him into, especially when you have Dowdle and Judkins sitting right at the same price.
Yeah. Heard that. All right, let's move on to wide receiver. Obviously, you can't go wrong with Puka. You can't go wrong with JSN, Amon-Ra, Justin Jefferson. These are all just no-brainers. If you got the money for them, slap them in there. Emeka Egbuka, I mean, I like that matchup. This is another team that didn't, pull off as many big plays as they were hoping to the last couple of weeks that I think we could get a little swing back from. Zay Flowers, people are talking about him all over the radio, Trevor. I know you don't listen to a ton of it, but I was listening to Sirius XM all morning. Doc, everybody else in the world's been talking about Zay Flowers this week. Are you on Zay?
Yeah, I'm on Zay Flowers. I don't like the Vikings secondary. Jackson can make some plays. He can create plays. Flowers will find a way to get open against that weak Vikings secondary.
Yeah, this is a good question here. Rob just put in there, Aaron Jones, if he goes. I put him in my article today, Trevor. I said that, if he looks cleared and good to go, that I like him. I feel like the Minnesota really got into a rhythm giving them the ball last week. I think that Baltimore's defense has looked better, but I don't think that they're as good as Detroit's defense. And Jones was just kind of having his way until he hurt his shoulder. So if Jones is cleared, are you in on him, Trevor?
I like him because, he just helps out in that passing game, and he's a good outlet for McCarthy. They're expecting him to play tomorrow. I'm expecting him to play tomorrow. Hopefully he can make it through. But you can tell just from the eyeball test, when he's totally healthy, he's better than Mason. I mean, he just is.
That was going to be my comment. Sorry, Danger. If he can play the game and get it going, just watching the couple of games he's been back, being a 49er fan, watching Mason go over there, then he gets more opportunity to perform with Aaron Jones going down, and then Aaron Jones coming back, and I'm like, maybe I was wrong. Aaron Jones is the guy to run and handle the touches in that backfield in a great matchup. So I just chiming in.
DFS hero Tom was on the show with Doc this morning on Sirius XM, and he said this was his game of the week that was going to blow up. He said this Baltimore-Minnesota game could see over 60 points of scoring. And I don't doubt it. It's difficult for me to get Justin Jefferson in there, but Jordan Addison fits in really nicely. Trevor, you are kind of the authority on the Jordan Addison week, or not the Jordan Addison week. You've been pretty good about it the last couple of years. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I like him. I like the whole passing game against Baltimore. I think Baltimore might try to do whatever they can to cover Jefferson. So that might leave some opportunity for Addison. And he's only 5,400. So
would you do something like play Lamar Jackson solo and then come back and play a Jones and Addison?
Sure, you can do that. I'm probably going to play. I'll probably have a lot of Flowers in the single entry tournaments. And then just for people that play GPP, I'm going with Isaiah Likely a lot at tight end, just for a GPP flyer because he's out on the field a lot.
Yeah, Trevor, you're going to keep saying that name till you will it to come true.
It's going to come true one of these weeks. It's going to come true one of these weeks. Hey, he had 9 points last week. He got me into the cash on that Thursday night game.
I love it. All right, Justin, I got Tez Johnson in my Sims as well. He is him and Juwan Jennings are the only 4,000 players in the first 15 that I have ranked here.
Mm-hmm.
But I have him right next to a couple of other names that I thought maybe we'd see a repeat of. I thought maybe you put Parker Washington back on this list. And I thought maybe that we would be, brothers in thinking that Roma Dunza is going to come back and have a smash week. It was no love for Rome?
No. I got hung up on Parker Washington, and you are right. It is a pretty close shakeout with their price range. I don't even remember. Yeah, no, Rome is, 20-something on my sheet. But yeah, so the one thing I was going to make a comment on, you are right when you first started talking Puka and Jigba, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jefferson, even Egbuka at 7K. A lot of very expensive guys. And typically, I might have one listed here, maybe two, and multiple ones pop this week. So it really makes it interesting about where you spend your money, which one of these or maybe two expensive players do you fit in. But I thought it was quite odd, too, that we had so many of the top guys. Obviously, we all know that they're great receivers, and you can say play them every week, but it's not every week that they pop up at the top of my metrics. And then, yes, down on the flip side of that, Tez is the best 4K guy. I didn't see very many, if any, 3K guys, maybe Zacchaeus in Chicago. But I mean, none of them are high enough to mention. There were only 2 or 3 4K guys, and then a lot of expensive ones. So it was a bit different.
Yeah, Juwan Jennings pops again in the models. I don't know why he keeps popping in the models. He keeps doing absolutely nothing.
They must factor in if he had made that catch, if he didn't drop that ball.
Did he have a touchdown last week?
Yeah, he did. All right, so he overrides listening. He had his show earlier today. The Ultra Contrarian says Jefferson made the lineup. It's funny that Jefferson makes contrarian lineups because of the ownership is kind of down on him this week. So, it's kind of fun when the top end guys become actual contrarian plays. And I just want to make a quick note that Justin, this is the 701st podcast on the Dr. Roto podcast feed. And Heats earlier today was the 700th. Let's see if I remember off the top of my head. We have 701 podcasts. We have 30,000 downloads. All 50 states, 64 countries across all 7 continents have checked out, downloaded, and listened to a Dr. Roto podcast over the last couple of years. I think that's pretty cool.
Most definitely something to really be proud of for you guys over there at Dr. Roto. A lot of good content, which is what keeps people tuning in and following it up. So big milestone for you guys.
Well, we appreciate it. Rob says Kendrick Bourne went off on the Rams earlier this year. Yep, when everybody else was injured.
Yes.
It seems a little different with Kittle back. It seems like they've condensed it again.
And Jennings is back.
Yeah. Man, Jennings is back. I would like to see Pearsall back. I'm starting to wonder if he's maybe not who we thought he was. I gotta see him play. Hollywood checking in with us. Let's go. I mean, I think you can start this. You can start this team. I honestly think JJ McCarthy is going to have to throw close to 40 times. And if anybody's going to throw the ball 40 times, they're going to score you at least. Please. You're going to score me at least 20 points, right? You get 20 out of JJ at 49. Is that enough, Trevor?
Yeah, that's enough. If you get 20 points, as long as you're spending up guys are making the points, you can't have a DK dud, but right. you gotta hope like if you do take it in the Jigba, he doesn't have like a clunker, which he hasn't really had. Even his worst game, I think he still got 14, 15 points.
Yeah. Interesting. All right, let's move over to the tight ends. We have seen Trey McBride now that he's got Brissett throwing to him for the next 4 weeks. You've seen his price skyrocket, $6,000, very, very high for a tight end. That's putting him right there in probably the top 15 wide receiver range. It's going to be really hard to find cheap wide receivers and cheap running backs to try to get Trey McBride in, but he's kind of worth it, Justin.
Yeah, he definitely is. There was a time in years past where there were multiple tight ends above 6K, and I would have to go back and check, but it's been maybe a few times there's been a tight end over that price, but you're right. He's getting the targets, got the red zone equity. There's a huge gap, I think, in skill set or caliber of tight end this particular slate. And he's the only one up there in a tier by himself, which obviously with some other guys like Bowers and other top tier tight ends on other slates, that's not the case. But yeah, he's a standout guy all alone at 6K at tight end if you got the money to pay it.
Yeah, I'm sitting here looking at his floor. Let me see if I can pull up the floor on the other site too. They're telling me that he's got a floor of almost 11 points this week. That is a ridiculously high floor. Ridiculously high floor. I think that you can get some similar points that he's going to get out of a couple of these guys that are a little cheaper than him, but a much, much bigger bust rate, Trevor. Are you in on McBride at 6,000, or is it going to be too hard for you to pay up that high?
I think we're going to try to get him in. We'll see what our lineup that we make tonight, how hard it is to get in. The lineups that I have made, it looks like I have been paying down a tight end. I'm kind of on George Kittle a little bit. I know he's not on the list, but Mike Johnson from Wink Seasons says that's his favorite play. So I kind of agree with that because I expect your Niners to be playing from behind tomorrow. Maybe they won't be. So because it's only a 3.5 point spread, but in game one, they targeted Tonjes 11 times. If Kittle gets 11 targets, if all things are equal, I mean, then he's a big play. But he is a good pass blocker, and the Rams like to dial up pressure. So that's the one thing I'm trying to figure out if he's going to be blocking more or going out in routes.
That is difficult. Would it surprise you, Justin, if I told you that my simulating ceiling score, only 3 running backs and 3 wide receivers have a higher ceiling rating than Trey McBride has?
Really?
That's pretty high for a tight end. They have his ceiling projected at 35.5 points.
Yeah, no, I would be very surprised. I mean, running back, not so much, but wide receiver ceilings, tend to be a little larger than running backs. Yeah, I mean, he's that price on a tier of his own for a reason, and he's had a lot of good. I've actually been I don't like Arizona in general and their division team to the Niners, but seeing them get a little spark, seeing Marvin Harrison get a little bit of juice, little fire, a couple good catches, some touchdowns, seeing somebody succeed is always nice, and their offense has been succeeding in Kyler Murray's absence.
And let's bring this all back together, guys. Again, the reason why we did this show is to try to get people to treat these kind of contests less like GPP, where you're trying to be the smartest guy in the room, less than GPP, where you're trying to find the 1% to 3% guy that goes off. What we're trying to do is build lineups where there is no question that each person on that team is going to score points, right? So it doesn't always happen, but you don't have to talk yourself into a play. And I don't think that we're going to stretch to talk to anybody into Trey McBride, right? So let's talk about the rest of these guys. I don't really like the tight end spot this week a lot. I'm probably going to end up on Juwan Johnson right in the middle of your list there. I think he's the biggest beneficiary for Shaheed being gone. I think he's a safety blanket for either of their absolutely terrible quarterbacks. The Kamara in the backfield has been doing nothing. Kamara's banged up. Everybody's asking all week long, Trevor, in the Discord, if Kamara's out, we got to play Neal, right? No. If Kamara's, they're just terrible. I'm playing Juwan Johnson and probably nothing else from that game.
Yeah, another thing, Johnson and the quarterback are friends too. They
Mhm.
played together in college, so I'd expect him to get a lot of targets. He got a lot of targets last week. He did get a touchdown, but there was a lot of misses. Maybe Shuck gets better, but I do like Johnson, Schultz. My jersey still hasn't come in the mail yet. I ordered it almost 2 weeks ago.
Did you order it from a legit site or did you get scared?
Yes, no, it was a legit site. It was right from the Houston Texans team store.
There you go. There you go. There's probably one name on this list that I might elevate when we hear some injury news. And if Fannin is going to miss or be out, I think Njoku can slide up into this list.
I heard Fannin's expected to play.
Yeah. But you never know. Anyways, I like this list a lot. I don't know that I have any notes. I mean, I like Dalton Kincaid. I think his matchup's good. He's kind of their number one pass receiver most weeks when he's healthy. But Hunter Henry's the number 5 on my list for main slate. Otten is number 6 on my list for main slate. Juwan Johnson is my gut feeling. He's a little further down on the list, but he's my gut for the week. So I like this a lot. And I think Justin will probably agree with me here. The problem is if we think that the Rams are going to get aggressive on the front line, Kittle is a blocker and one of the best in the business. So he is ranked number 2 in my Sims, but I don't know if I can click on his name. I think it's going to be Juwan Johnson if I can't pay for Trey McBride.
Yeah, just a couple cleanup comments. Juwan Johnson, I do agree with you. The target share that is opened up with Shaheed going away does funnel towards Juwan Johnson. So I do like that a lot. And Schultz, obviously, Davis Mills, anytime you get a quarterback in there that doesn't have a ton of experience, they tend to lean on the tight end as a security blanket. And on top of that, the matchup is the best on the week for me in this slate. And the flip side to that, to wrap up your final comment about Kittle, I do think that Kittle is used more to be an engine for the offense than he is to be a weapon for the offense. And it is the worst matchup, according to my metrics, for the tight end position as well, as far as the Rams giving it up.
Fair enough. Now, we don't normally do this on the show, but we got a listener here that wants to ask us a question. So let's go ahead and answer it for him. He's got a 12-man PPR. Who would you start? Let's go to the quarterback here. Mahomes is off this week, so you're going to play Dart. So we're going to need 2 wide receivers. So let's find our wide receivers here. We got Olave, Diggs, Pierce, Terry, Ayuk, Jennings. What do we think of Olave? The simulations actually kind of like him. Not enough for me to play him, but I think Diggs is probably the safest play on this board here for me. I kind of like Pierce in the morning. I don't mind that. I don't mind Pierce in the morning. I don't think Terry's going to play, so you can take him out. Ayuk's not playing. I think he just copied his stuff here.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I'm probably going Pierce and Diggs, but I could hear you guys' arguments if you think Olave or Jennings deserves to get in there over Pierce.
Well, it's going to be Pierce and Diggs, and then probably Olave in the flex because there's really nothing else here.
Right. CMC, yeah, Jones, as long as he's cleared, he's good. Walker is fine, and I think it's actually a pretty good matchup. The problem is they just split the ball all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's CMC and Jones if he's healthy. And then I think it's Diggs and Pierce, and then you got to make a call there, country, and decide whether it's Walker or Olave the rest of the way for you there. But yeah, and I like Njoku. I don't know that I like Waller's still out, right?
So, yeah, I don't think he's playing.
Waller's out.
Yeah. All right, buddy. There you go. Hopefully we helped. All right. Well, let's get into talking about what we're going to do with this lineup. Traditionally, I have kicked it off with a pick, but I'm going to leave it to Justin. I'm going to give Justin. Justin, you pick the first pick.
Okay. So we're moving into building the show lineup, and I'm going to start it off middle of the road, not too cheap, not to pay too expensive. I think that Dowdle is going to carry the load moving forward in a good matchup. So I think we go 6,300 at Dowdle at the running back.
I like it a lot. The only thing I could see him failing is if New Orleans just can't put up a fight and, they just mix in Hubbard to keep Dowdle fresh for next week. I like Dowdle a lot. I think he's a no-brainer for 20 to 23 points. Trevor, what you got?
Judkins.
You got Judkins. I knew you were going to say it quickly. I knew it. But I like it. It starts us off middle in the road. Maybe we find a way to get Achane or McCaffrey into the flex, but we can move on from there. I guess you're going to leave it to me, huh? I'm going to keep it middle of the road too, so we can have discussions about where to spend our money. I believe in Tom from DFS Hero. I believe in Dr. Roto. And they both said that Minnesota-Baltimore is going to blow up. They both love Zay Flowers. So at 5,900, we're going to start our wide receivers with Zay Johnson.
Zay Flowers.
Zay Flowers.
We play Zay and Tez. Tez Flowers,
right.
Zay Johnson.
I like it. I like them both. I'm not going to lie. Trevor, we're going back to you. You had a no-brainer. Now you got to think.
Well, I'd like to. I always like to see when we're on the list like this. I always like to get the cheapest quarterback. So I'm going to be the homeboy and take McCarthy for now.
Oh,
I don't hate it.
Yeah.
I don't hate it, and we can always go back and spend some more money there if we want.
It gives us flexibility to figure out if we need to pay up later, and it's an easy way out for me on that pick.
So when we're playing these kind of lineups, I'm not always concerned about matching guys up, but do you want to match somebody up here, Justin? Do you want to go to a Jefferson or an Addison? Do you want to leave him be and throw another guy in from Baltimore? What do you want to do here?
I'll lead the Minnesota pairing choice up to Trevor since that's his home squad. I'm going to tell you to put in Travion. I'm just kidding. Don't freak out. I'm going to take the easy road here, and I'm going to tell you, let's go with Cleveland's defense at 2,900 to pair it with Judkins.
Cleveland's D. I like that call. I've been looking at him all week. I don't think that the Jets offense is dead. I mean, Breece Hall still's got good life in him. Garrett Wilson just needs to play anywhere else. That guy is super talented. He just he needs a quarterback badly. So I don't hate that. You took the easy way out. You put it right back on me. I am curious to see how it plays out. So I'm going to slide Trey McBride right into that tight end spot and make us see if we can find value. If not, we can always take Trey out. We can go down to Johnson. We can try to get Jefferson in there. But we still have 5,800 for per spot for two more wide receivers in the flex. If we feel like we would rather spend up, Trevor, if you want one of these high named wide receivers, I'm not married to Trey McBride. I just kind of wanted to see where we go.
If you were going to give me the next pick, I was going to put McBride in there to see where we're at because, for what we're doing, he's just the best tight end out there. And I still think we got enough money to even play Justin Jefferson.
Yeah. I want to slide it in there and see what we can do with it?
I think so.
All right. I am with you, though, on the thought that maybe Baltimore sells out to stop Justin Jefferson and makes them beat them elsewhere. But Jefferson is otherworldly talented. So I'm not scared of it. And at 7,900, he's what, the fourth or fifth cheapest the fourth or fifth most expensive. There's all those guys above him, which is wild for Jefferson. All right, that leaves us 4,800 apiece. So we need to get some value. Do you think Tez is enough value, Justin?
That's going to leave you what, 5,300 bucks. I think it's enough to figure it out. I think there's some plays in that area. So all things considered, I say let's plug in Tez Johnson at wide receiver, explore our flex options, and then see what we can do.
All right. Well, that will leave us with 5,100. 5,100. So, we can play Monty. We could play.
We're not tied to Jefferson.
Williams.
We're not tied to Jefferson either.
No, I don't like this range a lot. It doesn't leave us with a whole lot that I love.
Or do you guys want to think about flexing a tight end?
You can flex a tight end.
I don't know. I don't know what that leaves us with,
You could flex a tight end. I mean, you could get Kittle, Laporta, Kincaid. You could go off our list here, get a $3,000 guy. We could go up from Tez. There is some options here. We could take Trey McBride out. We could put Juwan Johnson in and see what we have with that.
Do you feel comfortable taking McBride out?
I mean, I don't want to.
No.
I don't think we have to.
I think if we were going to take anybody out, it would be Tez. But that's only if we went with tight end at flex. If we can find a flex, then let's find a flex. I'll leave it up to you guys.
I certainly feel like we don't need to go off the reservation of the sheet, but if we did it, I don't think going off on one of the cheaper wide receivers is a problem. If you come down from Tez, I mean, the only thing is Parker Washington that I would be interested in. No Jennings at 46. Those things on Slayton at 43.
Parker's more expensive.
Oh yeah, by $200. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, if you don't make any pivots elsewhere, Montgomery is in play and Jamison Williams, who I don't mind because I tell you, I really like Amon-Ra St. Brown this week as far as the pay up guys. But a lot of the times when you have a stud receiver in a smash spot, it very well could shade some coverage and whatnot in any given week and turn the wide receiver 2 loose in that week.
Would you want to go from Jefferson up to Amon-Ra and then see where we're at with the flex there? Is that you think? I think Amon-Ra probably outscores Jefferson, don't you?
I mean, on a floor basis, I think so. But with what we're doing with this lineup, I do think we still got the single entry safety with Jefferson, and it packs McCarthy with him. And we obviously love Flowers, so you get your brain back, and you're not forcing that type of stuff, which you don't want to do in single entry.
However, if we go to Juwan Johnson, if we put him down in the flex, you can take Jefferson out and you've got $9,300 and you can put Puka, you can put JSN, you can put St. Brown instead of Jefferson. But that takes away the correlation from the quarterback. I don't worry about that too much when we're building these kind of lineups.
Or you could go Jennings or Kittle in the flex spot, but I don't know how you guys feel about that's your guy, and Jennings isn't on the sheet. And I don't trust him week to week. And Kittle isn't on the sheet either, so I think we should stick with the sheet.
Well, if we just take all correlation out, you can still go with McCarthy, and you can put JSN in there, you can put Brown in there. There's lots of spots to move there.
And you're speaking if we do double tight end.
Double tight end, man, you can go up to Jackson Dart, you can get Rico Judkins, Flowers, Amon-Ra, Tez, McBride, Juwan Johnson, and the Browns, and with $100 left over. It's not that ugly.
You want to go with Amon-Ra St. Brown instead of Jefferson, and then get off McCarthy and go to Dart. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If we go to Juwan Johnson as a double tight end flex, you could play with that. You could goof off with it a little bit, because I like Dart's ceiling better than McCarthy, and I like Brown better than Jefferson.
I'm good with that.
Aren't you making the change now and seeing
what does Justin think of that change?
It follows the sheet. The only thing I don't like it is that it kind of, shifts us off the Vikings for your sake, and it's not just because it was your sake. It also is a part of the sheet, and it was our origination.
I like it. I'll just play with buttons. Let's put McCarthy and Jefferson back in there. You got $1,400. So that gives you 59. You could move off of.
We want to move off of Tez.
You could move off of Tez. I mean, you can get to Wan'Dale Robinson with $600 left.
Yeah, the problem is this avenue doesn't really put you, to me, it doesn't put me anywhere I love either. I'm putting Tez back.
Putting Tez back?
Yeah, I'm just looking. $5,100.
Who do we?
I mean, put Juwan in the tight end and see what happens with the rest of your money. Then you get 7,400. Then you can put Achan in. You can put Ibuka in. You could put Kyron Williams in.
So for two for sake, it was McBride and either Montgomery or Jameson. And now our comparison is Juwan Johnson and very likely A-Chain.
I'm good either way you guys want to do it.
So yeah, do you think McBride and Monty are more points than Achan and Juwan Johnson? That's the real question, right?
Yes, the two for two. If you I think Juwan Johnson's ceiling is higher than we've seen it last few weeks with the target share. I mean, I think it's very close, but I feel better stomaching Johnson and Achan over McBride and David Montgomery. Even though I like David Montgomery this week, maybe more so than most people, it's a silly statement, but paying up for tight end is not paid off for me, I don't think, ever. Granted, if I'd have played Bowers last week, I would have experienced that for the first time, but I don't know. It's just something about it doesn't never work out for me.
If you take out the game against Baltimore with Monty's 32 points, I mean, he's averaging like 8 points a week, you know?
I say we lock in with Achan in a very high-scoring game, likely, where they're going to be chasing, and Johnson with the recently vacated target share that Shaheed had. So I think that's where we land.
I don't mind it at all. So that gives us J.J. McCarthy, Rico Dowdle, Quinshon Judkins, Zay Flowers, Justin Jefferson, Tez Johnson, Juwan Johnson, Devon Achan, and the Browns D with $0 remaining.
And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to play our original lineup in 1-2. I'm going to play the one with not the original. What was the other lineup?
There was going to be a pivot with Dart at QB.
Yeah, I'm gonna play all three of those. I'm gonna find me a 3 max. I'm gonna play all 3 of those variations.
Well, I mean, just take the sheet, put it in the optimizer, and let it spit you some stuff out, and win you a bunch of money.
I like that.
On top of the lineup we've created.
Eliminate every other option and just play the players.
I'm going to do the other one with McBride and Montgomery.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the other one with McBride and Montgomery to see which one came out better. Because that was the other one we're pretty much deciding on, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's the one I'm going to add that one, and we'll see which one did better. But officially, we're going with the one with HM.
That we are, my friends. All right. I am going to give that out one more time here. JJ McCarthy, Judkins, Dowdle, Jefferson, Flowers, Tez Johnson, Juwan Johnson, Achan, Browns D with $0 remaining.
I like it.
All right. If you would have talked to me for the last 2 years until this week, I can't believe I would put JJ McCarthy in a cash style single entry lineup, but here we are.
He's my boy. Let's go Vikes. Let's pound them Ravens tomorrow.
Well, guys, we did pretty good. We're at 58 and a half minutes. We try to keep it to an hour. I think we succeeded just fine. You can find us all over at drroto.com's Discord. From there, you can hook up with Justin and get into his free Discord where he posts this same sheet we talk about weekly and has a little discussion in there. Occasionally, he drops an article out. I don't know if he's going to do that anymore, but occasionally. Trevor writes and is on one of our podcasts pretty much every day of the week. What do we got left? This is the last one until the morning. We've got the Start Sit show with Dr. Roto and myself, where we go over every single start sit question you have for the entire week. And can't wait to see you there. That's 10:30 Eastern till about noon Eastern before the games lock. drroto.com. Go check it out. Use promo code WIN for 10% off. Gentlemen, good luck this week.
Same to you.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.